This is Friday Football Focus, and Tony Mepham has returned to the studio to discuss one team in particular this Friday night in Douglas Athletic. You'll be watching that match tomorrow, I understand, Tony.
Yeah, looking forward to it, and I've been speaking to Matthew, because obviously he's been brought into the Ireland squad to train, which is great, and he's working his way through the sessions very well and impressive. And I think it was about time we did a bit of a feature, and we were trying to get Brian Gartland up as well, but he was far too much money, couldn't afford him. So we've gone with Martin. He's a little bit cheaper, and Brian's going to listen, so be careful, guys, that you don't knock him for anything.
Well, let's introduce our guest this evening. We've got Matthew Quirk, who is the goalkeeper for Douglas Athletic, and the talismanic striker, I'm told, Martin Cowin. How do you do, gents?
Yeah, very well.
What's your assessment, first of all, of how your season's gone so far?
Do you want to take that?
Let me take this.
Okay.
I think obviously being a tough start with top 7 clubs from last season. I think we start off the campaign with a probably very strong performance against Corinthians, and not far from getting a point off them. I won't say what happened, but
I missed a penalty.
Yeah.
That's what he's alluding to. Yeah.
I'm not saying anything there.
High and wide.
But could have got a point there. But since on then, I think we progressed and tried our best through those 7 games, and I think we picked up 3 points from those tough 7 matches against St Mary's, which is obviously the game we're playing this weekend.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Tony alluded to it for several weeks that you had a very, very tough start to the season.
Yeah.
Was that something you were very aware of as a group of players, that we've got to get through this tough run of fixtures? Yeah. And then, not that any game is ever easy, but you think these are more winnable than other fixtures.
What we did last season in terms of, last season's goal was let's stay afloat. So we looked at the fixtures and we sort of identified the teams where we could pick up points, the games where we knew we wouldn't have a chance at all, and we sort of focused on what you call the sort of cup final fixtures. When this season's fixtures came out, we looked at the whole thing and thought, right, we're in for a time here. But fortunately, after probably the opening of 5 or 6 games against top 5 or 6 clubs, we knew we had a run of teams around, or potentially, if we do things right, potentially below us. So that was what was sort of getting us through the tough opening, knowing that if we could get through and keep our head above water and keep morale up, that we'd get to a good run of fixtures and hopefully pick up points at that point.
And as a relatively new club, it's been quite a rapid rise for Douglas Athletic. I think you've been there from the outset, have you, Matt?
I joined the second year it formed as Douglas Athletic, but Martin, you've been there since.
Yeah, I was there when we were police. Yeah, I had a few years as police.
So what's that been like? You've had the rapid rise. I suppose you can only really get that if there's a good togetherness of the squad, and that you all seem friends off the pitch from the outside looking in.
There's a really good spirit, I think, to be honest. Yeah, we're a pretty close-knit club. There's a good mix between all first teamers and combi players. Yeah, we all seem to, at least on the surface, get on.
I think a lot of the players at our club, I think, me personally, I've grown up with a lot of players that we play with, like Martin with me next to me here with his brother Steve Cowin. He only lived down the road from me, same estate. We had Mark Wolforden join us last season. He lived across the road from me. We got Matthew that played for us. He went to school with me, with Lewis Howland. He plays for us. I've grown up with him at school. Connor Dowell, another one I've grown up with. Matthew Harrison. Being all around, we all know each other, so it's basically it's a good family club, and everyone's pretty much good friends. So it's a very good setup at the club.
I suppose there are many secrets to success, Tony, but knowing players inside out and how their footballing brain works is ultimately going to be of a massive advantage for any team.
Well, big time. And just talking to the guys downstairs, about do they find it too tough in the Premier League? Because we keep getting these sort of vibes of, we need to go 3 leagues. I am against it because, and I think the boys feel the same, because even though there's some really strong teams in that Premier League, as Douglas Athletic showed when they played St Mary's, yes, it was on your pitch, but it was something ridiculous.
Yeah,
it was 6-0 after 25 minutes.
Yeah, it was. But I don't think us as a club, we're not scared of anyone. We still want to put a fight. We want to make ourselves
you want to play
performance.
The better teams.
Yeah, you do, exactly.
You do. Yeah.
I think if you want to play, if you play the better teams, you learn and you progress your standard of playing, pretty much. So I know you've learned these three separate leagues, but I personally, for the teams lower, I think, I don't know, on behalf of me, I don't want to on behalf of the club itself. For me personally, I love to play the top teams because that's where you're facing the better people, and if you want to prove, you've got to face these top players in the island.
As a goalkeeper though, and I do have to raise this, you love playing the top sides against St George's this year. You're picking the ball out the back of the net 14
All I can
say,
I didn't play that game. I wasn't in that game because that's when I had my head injury, so I got called to not play the next few games. So I didn't play St George's when we got battered 14.
It was 14, yeah. It would have probably only been 13 if Quirk was.
Thanks very much.
Looking at the other Premiership sides, the top sides, because you've just gone through the second batch near enough.
Yes.
Who do you feel are looking really good at the moment? Because there's a great competition at the top of the table for this league championship this season.
For me, I'd say Peel. Really,
I was going to say Peel. Yeah.
I feel the same at the moment.
Yeah.
Very dominant. They come out the traps so quick, and they've got so many talent players everywhere on the pitch. They've got some good young players coming through. I know, being down on Wednesday with Tom. Tom's been very good player.
Yeah.
But I think I reckon Peel. They're looking good at the moment.
Are you saying that out of hope though, because you want somebody new to win it? Because I mean, still St George's, they set the bar high. They are the team to beat, and if they win their 3 games in hand, as we said in Friday's sport preview, that they'll be 3 points clear at the top. So they still set the mark, don't they?
They do, yeah. I mean, I don't begrudge them at all. I mean, they earn that top spot every single year. So
rightfully, to be fair.
Yeah.
We said you've had quite a bit of success since you rebranded to Douglas Athletic. How now, though, being in the Premier League, I take it the aim is to establish yourself and then try and, I suppose, ultimately in the future, challenge for titles yourself. How far away is that goal?
Oof, that's the question.
Yeah.
I mean, the aim is always to kick on and is always to improve. Last season it was pretty much just basically survive, keep your head up. This season, we're looking at the teams around and below us, and fortunately we've been able to pick up points against Colby, Braddon, Ramsey. We've got all those again to play. We've got Royals to play twice. All being well, those are the fixtures that were identified that we should be able to get something out of. We are looking to kick on and to improve every year.
I think we're going in that direction at the moment. We've played the likes of St John's, Old Boys, and St Mary's.
We've run them close. Yeah.
We've always run them close.
Yeah.
So, and if you took that team, if you took Douglas Athletic 2 or 3 years ago, I think we would have got probably bad 6-7-0. So I think the improvement and on the team itself has improved quite a lot, and I think obviously cup runs as well. I think a good cup run last year was very good for us. And again, just beat Old Boys in the last round.
That's a great result.
Royals in the next round.
So we've got Royals in the next round. So I think a cup run and survival is the main thing, really.
We're not really under any illusions. I mean, there's still a big gulf between those top 4, top 5 teams
definitely.
and where we are. But we'll keep working hard.
Step by step,
to
really,
keep going. Yeah.
Well, played 13, got 13 points. Your record home and away is quite similar. Do you find home advantage isn't really an advantage? It's just sort of wherever you play.
It was the same last year, I think. We were looking at every week thinking, well, a home game this week, and we pretty much think we can take anyone on our pitch. But actually the stats aren't that way at all.
No, I don't think the stats. I think we won more games away last year.
We did last year, definitely, yeah.
Won more games away last year than home.
And the thing is, you've got a tight pitch where you are.
Yeah.
And I remember St George's give you a hiding last year.
Exactly, yeah.
Peel and other clubs come in and they seem to be able to play that little pitch.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? It's just the way it goes for you because...
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I wish I had an answer. Because we can get other clubs down there and we can sort of lower them to our level and give them a real scrap.
Yeah,
we had Mary's our place last year in the cup. Just done it against Old Boys. Others that we've run close as well.
I think some players don't like coming to us because it is a small pitch. There's no room for them to pass the ball. I know, like St George's, they like to keep the ball at the back, move the ball, and then switch the ball play. And you can't really do it on our pitch, so it can stop them from getting the ball from behind. It doesn't really benefits us really in itself because it's so small. There's hardly any room to move, and there's hardly any move for yourself to get in a position of a striking position to score. So
One way I would suggest making Springfield Road a fortress is get the Dafka Ultras down there. I think I've been at a few cup matches. Flares have been set off. The scarves have.
Seen yourself down there, Chris?
Oh, I don't know. I couldn't possibly comment. Do you have a points target in your head that you set at the start of the season, or is it just like I suppose many clubs? It's just to get as many points as possible, and as you said, alluded to at the start of the programme, the goal for you is to avoid relegation. It's the immediate aim.
I don't think I had a specific number in.
No, I don't. I don't have a. I think the main target is to survive and try and improve on league position from last season. I don't think we can go into a season and think, oh, we need that certain amount of points, because you never know what other clubs they'll have bring on new players in. They could improve from last season. You just don't know really what the teams are like coming from Division 2 or coming up, or you just don't know really.
Last year it was something people were saying 10 or 12 points should see you safe, but
14 I think you need 14.
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah.
But this year we got there's a bunch on. Where are we? I'm going to look at my homework, my cheat sheet here.
10s and 9s.
10s, 11s, 13s, yeah. Only Ramsey at the bottom with 4. So it's impossible to put a number on it because it's so closely contested down at the bottom.
But there we go, big incentive for you tomorrow, because Tony Mepham's just said 14 points will see you safe. Douglas Athletic currently on 13 points after 13 games played. They haven't registered a draw away from home, so there's the incentive tomorrow. Get the draw away from home, first one of the season, and get the reach the magic 14 points tally. Matthew Quirk and Martin Cowin from Douglas Athletic joining us here on Friday Football Focus. We said before how there's a real togetherness. Matt, you said you know a lot of the players, you've grown up with them. As you move forward and progress as a club, you will bring in new players. How important is it to keep that togetherness? When you bring in these new players, it's finely balanced, that, isn't it?
That's a tough question. For me, it's South anyway, because I think it is very important to bring in, make sure you have that good morale around the club, and I think we do that well with the training sessions. We've got Jay Clegg doing the training sessions, Popeye's down there, encouraging players to do well, and even behind the scenes at the club we also have social events, so it's always good and everyone gets together, and it's a good crack down the club really. I don't know if you want to.
How tough is Brian as a manager? Because I know what he was like as a player. He was a nightmare. He was brilliant, but as a manager, it's as if he still wants to play. He wants 100%, doesn't he, Martin?
He does want 100%. I to be honest, I didn't know Brian before he came on. And all I'd heard was horror stories. I think he's softened a bit from what I heard and from what I was expecting. I was expecting a real drill sergeant. Crack the whip, run a tight ship. But he's come on board, and to his credit, like, he's really involved himself in the atmosphere and the morale of the club. It's tricky on the sidelines for the ref and for opposition, because he is passionate and he will give everything. But really, he's just part of the single entity. He just wants us to do well.
How was the transition? I believe it was Neil Akelagadu beforehand. What was he like as a manager, and what has the transition been like? Because it seems to have been seamless. You stayed up last season. You don't seem to be in any real threat. Obviously, if you go on a poor run of results, that could all change. But you seem to be, there or thereabouts in terms of safety and where you want to be as a club.
For me, obviously, I don't think you.
No, I mean, I've been away for a long time, so I only played under Neil a couple of times.
I think Neil himself was great for myself, because I think he put encouragement in me. He knew what I'm capable of on the pitch, and he got the best out of me and myself. It was obviously me as a full-person guy. Neil's a great guy, but I think Popeye coming in with his experience in the Premier League and what he's done as a player within that Premier League has been so vital for us, and he just gives in so much passion to the club, and he just wants everyone to do well. I think the knowledge with what Popeye's got has been the key for us to do well and keep up in the top flight.
And kicking the ball, or kicking every ball on the sideline. Tomorrow you've got St Mary's. It's the 1:30 kick-off. Obviously, both of you play for Douglas Athletic. I don't expect any other answer, but how do you rate your chances tomorrow? Because St Mary's a couple of places above you in the league. They've played more games and they've got more Premier League experience. So what are your chances tomorrow? Blank faces.
That's fine.
There are some blank faces in the studio.
Yeah, no. For me personally, I don't think we won't be scared of going out there and trying to do our best. I think St Mary's doing well at the moment. I think they've improved a lot, haven't they? Yeah. So I think it'll be a more tighter game than we did when we went 6-0 up in 30 minutes our pitch. So I do expect it to be a bit tight. They've got some very good players like Steve Priestnall and Krellin, Carl Clark, Al Harrison's good. I don't think he played against us, so he may be key for us for next. And he's obviously taken the reins at the club as well. And I think they're doing well under Al. So I don't think it will be an easy game like it was at Springfield Road anyway. But if we can come out like we did against Springfield Road and put on a performance like we did in the first 30 minutes, we may unsettle St Mary's quite a bit.
And the early kick-off, you never know, you might spring a surprise. Will you be watching the Isle of Man under-18s game? Or?
Yeah, I'll probably come down and watch. I came down and watched them. Who's the game they played last? Middlesex, and they came back and nip and tuck all the way.
4-3 Sid Batty.
Some good goals in that game as well. So Lewis has them down before we train on a Wednesday, and he obviously get them running. So I think they're in good shape. And obviously playing against them the other week again for Douglas Athletic, they look a good bunch of lads down there. So, and
again, as players, how involved are you in looking at the youth ranks of Douglas Athletic, or trying to identify players that you can come in and secure the future really of the football club? Because as we've said, it has been a rapid rise really, and I think it's a great model for any other rebranded clubs to come in and follow, because it's seen you win trophies and come into the Premier League and you don't look out of your depth.
That's good. It's not always the case.
For junior football itself, I think we've got a few juniors now with the likes of Reece Lake, Lee Kane, Jake Gartland, obviously brother of Ryan and Lee, obviously Popeye, his son. They come into our team, the combi team last season. They've improved a lot, very much.
Got to give them credit. Yeah, they turn up twice a week, every week. We run Gasworks step sessions before Thursday night training. They turn up and do that. Whereas not a lot of the other first team as well.
Not at all, no.
So credit where credit's due. They've really kicked on since last year.
But if they want to bring down their mates and just get the word out about Douglas Athletic, you never know. We might set up a junior team anyway in the future.
Just the platform. Can you identify any young rising stars for them, Tony? I suppose you'll pinch them all for Corinthians. It's worth a try.
There's plenty out there. They've got quite a few Corinthians players already playing for them, Connor Dowell and the others, Lewis Daly. So they've done very well. But just before we finish, I think it'd be nice to hear from Matthew. You've been brought into the island setup to train. You've been knocking on the door for the last couple of years, and people are saying, why isn't he getting picked? And you've got a great opportunity now with Max Thomas not being included there because he's not playing. How do you see it working for you at the moment? Because you're down there every week and you're looking really sharp.
Thanks. Yeah. It's to be honest, there's five keepers down, rotating every week, and to be fair, every keeper puts a shift in. So all I need to do is just put in the best performance I can do on a Wednesday. Learn from the likes of Paul O'Brien, Dave Cherry. And also just last week, Grant Dawson came down training, just to learn off him himself, an ex-Ireland keeper, senior level. Just learn just little bits to tweak my game a bit and just to improve. And I just need to just keep doing what I do on a Saturday and turning out and just trying to do my best really. And that's all I can ask for myself. And if I get picked, if I don't get picked, then I just improve again and just try and improve myself really.
And is the goalkeepers union, the strikers union, is that actually a thing? Do you all banter each other and stick with each other, I should say, in a certain position?
Back each other up? No, I don't think so. I think obviously this year it's been tough for myself because I think last season there was the likes of Aaron Peters and Lee Filson, who was our goalkeepers, and myself. So I used to just run goalkeeper sessions and get drills offline and then just learn them and then bring them down on a Tuesday and a Thursday and do it together. I mean, we used to have a good core of goalkeepers and do well, but this year it's just been myself, so I don't really get much goalkeeping myself on a Tuesday and Thursday. So the likes to be asked upon from Paul Jones to come down on a Wednesday has been very beneficial for myself. And all I can do now on a Wednesday is bring those training drills and performances and just bring on a Tuesday and a Thursday training session and practice, and hopefully that'll benefit Ben off, really.
And this is radio, so people can't see you, Matt, but you're about 9'6". You look like Costel Pantilimon, the former Man City and Sunderland goalkeeper.
Thanks,
so you got things going for you. Is height everything for a goalkeeper?
I don't. Not necessarily. I think if you look at Andrew Perry, who's Max Thomas as well. I don't know who else is there. Duna, I think.
Duna's still playing as good as ever,
and still got a spring in the step. So height's not necessarily an advantage. I think you just got to work on different things. I think I was down on Wednesday and Cherry was saying he's surprised how much I've got spring in my legs. So if I don't have spring in my legs, then I wouldn't be a keeper. So
we touched upon before the situation at the top end of the Canada Life Premier League. For a club, I'm sure you've accepted your way out of the title race now, but you can still play a massive role by getting results against those teams at the top. Is that a big incentive when you go into matches? You said before you don't go in scared of teams. Do you go in thinking, right, we can make a massive mark on this championship season, this Canada Life Premier League season, by getting a massive result against one of the teams who are going for the title?
I think it's difficult to look at it that way because, to be honest, we're so far removed from a title race that I'm personally, I don't know about you, I'm not looking at it thinking, oh yeah, we can change things up for the top three here. But we do identify those fixtures as, those are big bonus wins. We look at the teams around us and below us.
I totally agree with that. Yeah.
And we, I said we target them. If we can get any points of a club above us, it's
a bonus,
an extra bonus. Yeah, we're not looking to sort of rock the boat in terms of changing up the top two or top three. But if we can be selfish about it and take points for ourselves, then absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, we do have a game plan going in for every game, don't we? We have a game plan of what we can do to try and stop the momentum from them to get into the game itself. But it's very hard against the top teams.
We just had an email in, or a text in, I should say. No, height is nothing in a goalie. Young lad in the under-16 game last week was the smallest on the pitch, and nothing got past him apparently. So if you're under 5 foot, don't worry. You could still become a goalkeeper. That's encouragement from my mother.
The thing is, I think at school level I wasn't a keeper, and I was like 4 foot or really small, and then by the age of 17 I had a growth spurt, and now I'm 6'4", so you never know, you can be small and then be tall in the future. So
fed toxic waste, I reckon. Lads, do you have personal targets for the season? As in, do you set yourself a goals tally? Do you set yourself anything that you need to work on and think, right, that's now done, on to the next target?
Me personally, at goalkeeping, I always look, what can I improve on? What different areas of goalkeeping can I improve on? And I'll hammer drills and trying to improve that itself. But goals itself for the season, how many clean sheets or anything, I don't think I set any goals for that itself. I don't really operate like that.
I try and think like double figures for a goals tally, but again, like I think personally, I mean, my position is really helping others get into the game, holding it up, flicking it on, bringing in the wingers, bringing in the midfielders around it.
And I think that's a big part of what Martin brings to our game. You've got having Connor and Michael to run around the back. You've got Martin there who's same height as himself, and he can flick it on, flick around and pass on to Connor, and he brings everyone into the game itself. And if he moves into the positions and brings two people to try and mark him, and that creates a space at the back for Connor to run in, it's very key for our club. Who do you link up best with on the pitch, Martin? Who's your ultimate strike partner in Douglas Athletic?
An ultimate. Do you know what? We've been kind of blessed this season because we've, to both Mikey and Connor's credit, we've been able to nudge them into wide positions. They both want to be playing up front, probably just straight on their own. But yeah, credit where credit's due. They've been playing in wide positions. We've had myself and Dan Sherry.
Yeah, I was going to say Dan Sherry.
We've been fortunate enough in being able to sort of shoehorn 4 out-and-out strikers into, straight into a starting lineup.
They know where the back of the net is, don't you? So,
well, yeah.
Not a bad thing to know if you're a striker. But it's been fascinating having you on, Martin Cowin. Matthew Quirk from Douglas Athletic. This is the game which Tony Mepham, our Manx Radio football correspondent, will be covering tomorrow at St Mary's versus Douglas Athletic. 1:30 p.m. kickoff in the Canada Life Premier League. And just finally, before we go, Tony, another plug for the Isle of Man under-18s. They're in FA County Youth Cup action. It's going to be a fascinating one for them as well to continue their journey.
Well, it is. As you get closer to the final, the competition gets tougher. And we haven't been in this position for a long, long time. So it's nice to see these lads have the opportunity. And I just hope that people come down and watch it. We've changed the kick-off time a little bit to 5 o'clock to allow people to play their game of football, and then quick change around, come and watch the game, and then they're home for tea, which will be hopefully job done. But they're a really good side. So anyone sort of looking to watch the stars of Manx football in the future, tomorrow night at 5 o'clock at the Bowls, the chance to see them. There's some quality in that team, and let's just hope the result goes their way.
And we do have a lot of young, hot prospects in Manx football. We've had a lot of them on Friday Football Focus. But unfortunately, our time is up this evening. Thanks very much to our guests, Martin Cowin and Matthew Quirk. Tony Mepham, as always, it's a pleasure having your company, and we'll look forward to the updates from the game between St Mary's and Douglas Athletic, and also in the FA County Youth Cup. 5 o'clock kick-off there. But that's us for this evening. And, have a very good weekend, and best of luck in your matches, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.